If you think about this query, the agent needs to look up the least profitable categories from this year, the least profitable categories from last year. Get that data from BigQuery. It's making two queries separately, and then combining and analyzing the results for us. This is so cool. We're able to do this just through a chat app. And if my marketing team was in here, anyone in the chat could ask this question and get a response. So helpful. Hi, I'm Billy Jacobson. I am a senior developer advocate at Google with a focus on data and generative AI. And today I'm really excited to show you this BigQuery Slack bot that I built using n8n. The code is all on GitHub, so you can follow along, do it yourself, read up on everything here. We're going to make an architecture that looks like this. We're going to have a Slack trigger with an AI agent powered by the Gemini chat model. We've got a BigQuery MCP server, and we're doing all the cool AI things here in a way that can be really helpful for your business. We're going to be using the public BigQuery dataset for an e-commerce site, but you might have infrastructure monitoring data in your BigQuery and you could use it for that. Or you have alerts and data quality checks and you could use it for that. Any kinds of way you want to integrate chat and BigQuery and AI and automation, this video is for you to get started. Let's jump in, start with n8n, and show you how to build this. If you have not used n8n, I really love it. It is an open source orchestrator. No code is required. You can coordinate and connect so many different services and application. There is AI there with all these sorts of flows and ways you can interact. There are actions in all of these different applications. There's just so much you can do, and you can use a local version or deployed. I have mine deployed on a Google Compute Engine instance. Yeah, I think that's where I have mine. Definitely play around with this if you haven't. I'm kind of assuming that you've played around with this a little bit or are somewhat comfortable with it and at least have a Slack node set up or an AI node set up. And if you haven't done that, I actually have links for how to get Slack set up in n8n. I found this really helpful video actually. It took like 15, 20 minutes to get set up, but most of that was trying to find the right video tutorial on how to do it. So right now I've just got a super simple Slack trigger. So when my bot is mentioned in a chat, I want it to reply to that message. Just straightforward, just to have a simple hello world, basically. So I'm in my Slack channel with my marketing team for my e-commerce site today. And I will add this chatbot to the room. I'll say, hey, and yes, I have to click add them. Hello, I've received the message. Perfect. You know, it's so much easier to start out when you've got the pipelines working, the inputs and the outputs. Let's add an AI agent into the mix. And let's disconnect our Slack trigger from our send message trigger. So we're going to have the trigger go into the AI agent, and then the AI agent will go and send a message. Now we have to do a little bit to connect all of these dots. So we want to define below what our message is. And we're just going to grab this text message that I have. I pinned it in so it'd be easier to grab. Right now, just saying hi. And then I'm going to I need to, of course, select my chat model. And I'm going to use Gemini for this. I've already got it configured with my API key and account. There are definitely lots of great videos for how to do this. But if you have any questions or trouble, let me know. And I think 2.5 Flash will be fine here, but you can choose any of the models that are available. So model selected, the input selected, and what else do I need to do? Let's do a system prompt. So here, this will just let us say, here you're a helpful assistant, but we can be a little bit more specific here. Actually, I've got a few prompts here that we'll use. So this one's just saying, you're a BigQuery bot. It's also giving it the date. Let me make this an expression actually, because the model isn't going to know when the date is. So if I want to say what was happening last week, I want it to know what the current week is. And then the message I need to send, I need to execute my previous node so I can get that output. So instead of just saying, hello, I received the message, we're going to use this output here and send that along. All right, let's save this and see if things are working. We'll message them again. Hi. All right, we've got our BigQuery bot ready to help with the marketing data. And let's see what it can do. Well, I know I can ask it questions that Gemini would be able to answer. So let me show this. So like, what's the tallest mountain in the world? This is something Gemini knows, some just basic knowledge. Great. We know it's Mount Everest. But if I want to know something like, how many users joined last week? I can put that in, but it doesn't have this data yet. So what's it going to do? Our agent does not have access to our data warehouse, and we want to change that. So I'm going to use the MCP Toolbox for databases to do this. It's an open source MCP server, and it's going to allow us to make a tool for our BigQuery data super easily. It'll handle the connection and authentication. It is so nice to work with. So what we've got here, we're going to have a tools.yaml file, and this defines all of the queries that I want our agent to be able to make. So I want to know the daily new users, and I say what this query is. It counts the number of new users per day. And then it also gives the framework for what the SQL is going to be. So select the count of new users, select the date from my BigQuery public data, limit it on the days. I want to do monthly sales. That's another query I want available. I want the customers by country, customers by gender. What else do I have? Most profitable brands. These are really common queries for an e-commerce team to have, and it might require a dev to go in to BigQuery, run the query for them, manage all of that, send the messages back and forth. It is really not a great process if you have to have a human in the middle for these really reasonable queries that might not be the most sensitive data. And it'd be really helpful if the marketing team can just say, what were the most profitable categories last month, or most profitable brands? It's like, let's just make everyone's life a little bit easier. And this toolbox helps everything connect in a really secure way. You're not going to run into any like SQL injection issues because the parameters allow you to customize what your question is. So here for daily new users, I can limit how many days I care about. If I only care about last week, I can do a limit of 7. And I'm not doing it. My AI agent is doing it. It's fantastic. All right, we're going to take this and we're going to go into my Cloud Shell editor. And I'm actually going to grab the GitHub URL for this so we can clone this. Also, if you are wanting to follow along, I mentioned the GitHub here earlier, but the full workflow JSON is available too. So you can just copy that JSON and paste it right into your n8n. So let's clone the repo. Great, I've got this tools.yaml here, and I'm going to go through, actually have the instructions on how to deploy this MCP server to Cloud Run. Also, if you're doing n8n locally, you can just do a local deployment of this, and it's just 2 commands. So much easier. I will go into my terminal. So we've got a few steps to go through, and I'll talk you through each one. We're going to set the project ID. This will make all the commands easier to run because I have the project ID set in, coded in so it can be adapted as you're going through this. And then we're going to initialize gcloud. Great, initialized, set. Now I'm going to enable the APIs. So we need a few different APIs here. We need the Cloud Run API, Cloud Build, and then we need IAM, of course, since we're managing different permissions. And then we need the artifact and secret registry, since that's where we're going to store our tools YAML file. So just make sure we've got all of these enabled. And then we're going to create an IAM service account for our toolbox. This is just going to allow the toolbox to manage and securely connect to our database and everything we need. So here we're allowing the toolbox to connect to our secret manager as well as BigQuery. Now I'm going to create a new secret for our tools.yaml file. It's giving me a conflict error because I've run this probably a dozen times already, but you hopefully won't have that same issue. And then we're going to deploy this to Cloud Run. So I'm getting the image, which is the latest image for the the MCP Toolbox for databases, and we're going to do a Cloud Run deploy. Super fast to deploy that. And notice we got this URL here. So this is actually where our MCP server is hosted. I'm going to grab this MCP URL. And we're going to add a new tool here. Great. The first tool that comes up is the MCP client tool. And what we need is this endpoint. This is the SSE endpoint. Server sent. Okay, wait, no, that's stream. I think they must have changed it in the middle of me doing that. Maybe MCP. That's the data that would normally come from the A. Great. Tools to include all. All right, this is connected now to the AI agent. I have my updated system instructions that's going to have a little bit more information about the data. Save it. And I want to go back to Slack and see, can it answer this question for me? Oh my God. I'm so happy it worked. So I asked this question about my database and it went and did a query. Let's actually look at the execution of what it did. So here we had the Slack trigger come in and I said, how many users joined last week? Then my AI agent, what did it do? I think actually, yeah, I queried Gemini twice. So first we asked it, what do we do? Yeah, we run one of two. First we asked it, yes, okay. My question is all the way at the end of this long system message. Human, how many users joined last week? And then it stopped the call because it generated a function call. So, it wanted to go to my MCP server, ask it a question. It went here, made this function call. It wanted the daily new users with a limit of 7 days. Great. And it got this data. Okay, beautiful. And then it brought it all the way back to Gemini and said, here's a summary of this data. Because here it has, at the end, again, of this long system prompt, it says, how many users joined last week? Then it wanted to make this function call, daily new users, thought about it a little bit. Then we got the information back from the data. And then it formatted it nicely to me and then sent it along back to Slack. Wow, incredible. Now, we're going to do some more queries that are a little more complicated. But if you're enjoying this video, and I hope you are because you're pretty deep into it, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to do more content like this. And also, of course, comment what kinds of content you want. If you want more n8n, more BigQuery, more bots, all sorts of things I'm open to playing with. I just like to see whatever is cool and interesting. I know I had a few example queries on here in GitHub. So I can say, let's just even ask it, what can it do? Because it's going to pull from all of those tools that I had, and we're going to see all the options. So it knows it can do the customers by age groups. It knows it can do the customers by country. We know there's some sales and profitability stuff, so most and least profitable brands and product categories. And there's monthly sales data, user growth. Oh my God, this bot really can do so much. I love it. So let's see, what was this other one? Show me the sales data from January 2024. And all this is doing is thinking about what SQL calls it needs to make, then going and doing that call, and giving that information back in a nicely formatted way. Let's give this AI agent a really meaty challenge now. What were the least profitable categories this year, and were they the same as last year? Let's get this starting to think. If you think about this query, the agent needs to look up the least profitable categories from this year, the least profitable categories from last year. Get that data from BigQuery. It's making two queries separately, and then combining and analyzing the results for us. This is so cool. We're able to do this just through a chat app. And if my marketing team was in here, anyone in the chat could ask this question and get a response. So helpful. All right, so clothings they had this revenue last year. Jumpsuits and rompers had this revenue. And now they were the same least profitable categories, but we can see they were not as unprofitable as they were last year. So interesting. It looks like the least profitable categories were the same for both years. So interesting that it's able to give us this information. Now, this is just a starting point for you to jump off of. There are so many more things you can do with this code. I would say the first thing you're going to want to do if you're taking this for yourself is go to your tools.yaml and start taking those common queries you have from your team and start putting them in here. So just start with one. Just connect your database to it. So you're going to select your source, that's a BigQuery, where your project is, all of that, and then start adding some tools in here and add more queries, play around with this, make it work for your data set. You can also do this with tons of different databases. So where is it? The MCP Toolbox for databases supports so many databases. Literally every week, I feel like this is supporting more and more tools. You can have your agent talking to your Firestore database or your Bigtable database or your MongoDB, Cassandra, whatever. It's all going to be the same process as this, which is so nice. So once you've got it set up for one, it's set up for multiple. You can also have multiple databases within this same tool. So if you wanted to ask a question about, we asked that question about the most and least profitable categories, maybe I see and go say, okay, go to Firestore where my inventory is and query all of those clothing items. So I know, okay, what are the kinds of clothes that we're selling, and get those product IDs and get more information. You can keep digging. And also, one thing that is a limitation of this implementation I'm doing is each message I have is just a one-off right now. But you can add history here and have it so the Slack bot is able to take into account all of the history of your chat, and make smart decisions based on that. So, being able to ask a follow-up question on this. I wouldn't be able to do that right now, but that is more of a Slack n8n thing that you would be able to do. So let's see if I were to just play around with that. Instead of in my Slack trigger right now, let's go to the editor. In my Slack trigger right now, I'm just getting when the bot is mentioned, and I'm just using the most current message, but there is a way that you can update this so you can get the whole history of the channel or have a summary of that. Again, this code is available to you on GitHub, so go please check it out, star this, ask questions, improve it, and let me know if you have questions on here. I think this is a really fun way to start playing around with agents and getting some value into it, and take an afternoon, spin this up. Yeah, if you like this video, again, want more of it, subscribe, come back, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.